Chief Bernard was one of the richest men in Nigeria. He owned a big company called Bernard Group of Companies, with many branches across the country. He was known for his wealth, but even more for his wisdom. Everyone respected him. But there was something that made Chief Bernard even more proud than all his money. His only son, Larry. Larry had been studying medicine abroad for several years. He was smart, kind, and very handsome. Tall, with smooth brown skin, curly hair, and a charming smile that could melt any woman's heart. Every girl in town wanted him, but Larry wasn't interested in fake love. He wanted something real, someone who would love him for who he was, not for his father's money. One sunny afternoon, Chief Bernard called his son on the phone. "My son, I am proud of you," he said, his deep voice full of joy. "You know, you promised me you would get married immediately after your graduation." Larry laughed softly. "Don't worry, Dad. I will look for a good woman when I come back home." "I trust you," Chief Bernard said, "but I have something to tell you. I already have my eye on 2 women. They are both hard-working, educated, respectful, and beautiful. They work in my company. I think either of them would make a good wife for you." Larry raised an eyebrow. "Ah, Dad? You want to choose a wife for me already?" Chief Bernard chuckled. "I'm not forcing you. I'm just helping you. You can still choose who you want, but at least consider them." "Okay, Dad," Larry replied. "Let me come home first." But as he dropped the call, a funny idea entered Larry's mind. What if he went home and acted like a poor man? Maybe a security guard in his dad's company. That way he would know who truly loved him, without knowing his real identity. He smiled to himself and nodded. "Yes, that's the best way. I want real love, not fake love that ends when the money finishes." The next day at the office, Chief Bernard sat in his big leather chair, waiting patiently. He had planned everything in his heart, and now it was time to start. He pressed the intercom. "Tell Sandra to come to my office," he said. A few minutes later, Sandra walked in. "Good morning, sir," she greeted with her usual warm smile. "Good morning, Sandra. Please sit," Chief Bernard replied. Sandra sat, wondering what the meeting was about. Chief Bernard leaned forward. "I want to tell you something important," he began. "My son Larry is about to graduate from medical school abroad. He's coming back to Nigeria soon." Sandra smiled. "Wow, that's wonderful, sir. Congratulations." "Thank you, my dear," Chief Bernard said. "Now listen, I've been watching you. You're respectful, educated, kind, and hard-working." Sandra looked shyly at the floor. "I believe you could make a good wife for my son," he continued. "I didn't call you here to force you, but I want you to be yourself when he comes. If his heart chooses you, I'll be very happy." Sandra was quiet for a moment, then she smiled. "I understand, sir. Thank you for considering me." "You can go now," Chief Bernard said gently. Sandra stood up. "Thank you, sir." She walked out of the office, still surprised by what she had just heard. Not long after, Jessica came in. She walked in confidently and greeted, "Good morning, sir." "Good morning, Jessica. Sit down." Jessica sat and waited. "I want to share something special with you," Chief Bernard began. "My son Larry will soon graduate from medical school and return to Nigeria." Jessica's eyes brightened. "Oh, that's great news, sir," Chief Bernard smiled. "Yes, and I've had my eyes on you for some time. You are beautiful, smart, hard-working, and you carry yourself well." Jessica smiled proudly. "I believe you may be a good match for my son," he said. "So I called you to let you know. He will be around soon. Just be yourself. If he likes you, I'll be happy." Jessica stood up quickly. Thank you so much, sir. I promise to make you proud. Good, Chief Bernard nodded. You can go. As Jessica walked out, her mind was already racing. So I might become a billionaire's wife. I must look my best every day now. 2 weeks later, Larry finally arrived in Nigeria. Chief Bernard was waiting for him at the airport with open arms. The moment he saw his son, he pulled him into a big hug. "My son!" he shouted happily. "You're finally here." Larry laughed. "Yes, Dad. I'm back for good." That evening, after a big welcome dinner at home, Larry sat with his father in the living room. Chief Bernard looked at him and said, "Larry, I already spoke to the 2 young women I told you about. Their names are Sandra and Jessica. I spoke to them separately, and they both agreed to meet you." Larry raised an eyebrow. "Just like that?" "Yes," his father smiled. "They're both excited, they're educated, hard-working, and beautiful. I've observed them for years." Larry leaned back in his chair and rubbed his chin. Then he said something that made Chief Bernard pause. "Dad, I don't want to show up rich. I want to pretend to be a poor security guard." Chief Bernard sat up straight. "What did you say?" "I'm serious," Larry said. "If I show up looking rich or educated, they may only like me because of the money. I want to see who really loves me without knowing who I am." Chief Bernard laughed for a long time. "You're just like me when I was young, but are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes, Dad," Larry nodded. "Give me a security uniform. Let me live in the boys' quarters and work at the company gate. I want to start small, observe them closely, and see who has a true heart." Chief Bernard smiled proudly. "You're wise, my son. I'll arrange everything. But remember, no matter what happens, don't give yourself away." Larry grinned. "Don't worry, Dad. This will be fun." By the next morning, Larry was dressed in a faded blue security uniform, a face cap, and rubber sandals. He carried a broom and a bottle of water. Nobody could recognize him. He looked like an ordinary security man. The workers walked past him without even looking at his face, except for one person, Sandra. She smiled at him and greeted politely. "Good morning, Ogre Security." Larry smiled back. "Good morning, madam." But Jessica, on the other hand, walked past him like he was invisible. She didn't even glance at his face. Larry chuckled to himself. This is going to be interesting. A few days later, things began to change inside Bernard Group of Companies. Jessica now walked around the office like a queen. Her heels clicked loudly on the tiled floor. Her perfumes filled every room she entered, and her shoulders were always raised high like a peacock. She even started acting like she was already married to the billionaire's son. One afternoon during lunch break, she sat with 2 of her close friends in the office cafeteria. She crossed her legs and said loudly, "Some people in this company better learn how to talk to me with respect. Very soon, I'll be the boss's daughter-in-law." Her friends gasped and clapped. "Are you serious, Jessica?" Jessica smiled proudly. "Of course. Chief Bernard already spoke to me. It's just a matter of time before his son puts a ring on this finger," she continued. "And when I get married, I will tell my husband to sack some workers in this company, especially those gossipers and backbiters who talk nonsense behind my back." Her friends laughed, not knowing she was very serious. She even started giving orders like she was a manager. One morning, she walked past the reception and saw Sandra talking with another staff member. Jessica frowned and walked up to her. "Sandra, can I talk to you?" she asked in a proud voice. Sandra smiled softly. "Of course." They both walked outside to a quiet corner. Jessica folded her arms and said, "Sandra, I think you should stop trying so hard. You and I both know you're not my competition." Sandra looked confused. "What do you mean?" Jessica rolled her eyes. "Come on, stop pretending. We both know Chief Bernard spoke to us. But let's be honest. You're not in my class. I'm more classy, more beautiful, and I dress better. You can't compete with me." Sandra blinked and shook her head slowly. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said calmly. "I'm not in any competition with you, Jessica. You can have him if you want." Jessica scoffed. "Good. You're finally speaking sense. But one more thing," Sandra added. "How can you be fighting over a man who hasn't even arrived yet?" "We don't know if he'll like you or me or even someone else. So what's the point?" Jessica hissed. "He will like me. Why wouldn't he? I'm everything a rich man wants." Sandra smiled politely. "Okay then. Good luck." She walked away, leaving Jessica boiling with anger. Meanwhile, Larry, still dressed as a security guard, was watching everything. He swept the compound slowly and smiled quietly whenever Jessica passed by, showing off. He noticed how she looked down on other staff, how she shouted at cleaners, and how she never greeted him. But Sandra, she still greeted him every morning. She even once brought him a bottle of cold water on a hot afternoon. "Here," she said, with a smile. "It's very hot today. You need this." Larry took it and smiled. "Thank you very much." "No problem," she replied. "You're doing a good job," and walked off. Larry looked at the bottle in his hand and smiled again. This girl has a heart. One Friday morning, Jessica stormed into the office with loud heels and a glowing face. She wore a shiny red gown, gold earrings, and thick makeup. She walked straight to the HR department and stood at the entrance with her hands on her hips. "Excuse me, everybody," she shouted. The entire office went quiet. Some staff looked up from their desks. Others peeped from behind their computers. Even the cleaners stopped working. Jessica cleared her throat. "I have an announcement to make," she said with pride. "In case some of you don't know, I will soon be the daughter-in-law of Chief Bernard." "Yes, the Chief Bernard," she continued. "So if you know you've been gossiping about me, just know your time in this company is almost over. Once I marry his son, I will make sure all the bad eggs are removed." Mouths dropped open. Sandra, who was quietly typing her report, paused and looked up. Jessica turned towards her. "And Sandra, I hope you finally accepted the truth. I'm the chosen one. Please stop following me up and down like you want to beg for the position. It's embarrassing." Sandra stood up slowly. "Jessica, I don't know why you keep mentioning my name. I'm not following you, and I'm not competing with you. Please respect yourself." Jessica laughed loud and clapped her hands. "Oh, poor Sandra, still pretending. Don't worry. You'll be invited to the wedding. You can even be my bridesmaid if you behave." Everyone in the office went quiet, not knowing what to say. Jessica walked out proudly like a queen. The next day at work, Jessica arrived at the company gate in her usual dramatic fashion, heels clicking, handbag swinging, face full of pride. As she approached the entrance, Larry, who was on duty in his clean security uniform, stepped forward politely and opened the gate. "Good morning, madam," he greeted with a slight nod. Jessica stopped and looked at him with disgust. "Are you mad?" she snapped. "Don't ever use that your smelling mouth to talk to me again." Larry blinked, shocked. What did I do? Did I ask you for a greeting? She shouted. You this poor security boy. Don't ever greet me again. Keep your sorry greetings to yourself. Larry's calm face slowly changed. He took a breath, then said, You know what? You're too full of yourself. Just because the boss said his son might marry you, you've started feeling like the boss's wife. How desperate can you be? Jessica gasped. What did you just say? You heard me, Larry said firmly. You insult people, walk around like you're already married to a man you don't even know. Tell me, do you even know how he looks? Do you have his number? Have you spoken to him? Jessica's mouth opened, but words didn't come out so. She was embarrassed and angry. How dare you? She finally screamed. You poor boy. I will make sure you lose this job. The boss must hear about this today. Larry shrugged. I don't care. Jessica's face twisted with anger. You will regret this. If the boss doesn't sack you, I'll tell my husband-to-be to sack you the moment we marry, Larry laughed. That's if he even chooses you, Jessica exploded. Useless thing! Just like your foolish father and your mother, who gave birth to a dog like you. Larry's smile disappeared. That one cut deep, but instead of reacting, he stood straight, looked at her with quiet anger and said, You've shown your true self. Then he walked away. Jessica, fuming like boiling water, marched straight into the building and barged into Chief Bernard's office. Chief, you have to sack that useless security man, she shouted. Chief Bernard raised his head slowly from his table, surprised. Calm down, Jessica. What's the problem? Jessica began shouting. He insulted me. He disrespected me. He even laughed at me and my future husband. He said, You're foolish and my mother is a fool. Chief Bernard blinked, shocked. He said, I'm foolish, Jessica stammered, realizing she had mixed her words. No, not you, sir. I mean, his father is foolish. That's what I meant, Chief Bernard said, but the boy is too proud for a poor man. Chief Bernard kept silent for a moment. Then he looked at her and said calmly, Jessica, I'm sorry, but I can't sack him. Jessica stood up straight. Sir, what do you mean? Why? Chief Bernard folded his hands on the table. You won't understand. Larry is a very good, respectful, and gentle young man. If he spoke to you, there must be a reason. I know him. Jessica was shaking in anger, but she insisted. But he insulted me. Still, I will not sack him, Chief Bernard replied. Jessica looked confused. Are you protecting him because he's your favorite worker? Chief Bernard sighed. It's not about that. I will talk to him myself, but I will not sack him. Jessica hissed loudly and stormed out of the office. As she walked down the hallway, she started thinking, why would Chief Bernard defend a poor security man so strongly? What's so special about him? Meanwhile, back at the gate, Larry stood quietly looking into the sky. His heart was heavy, not because of Jessica's insults, but because she had shown her real character. She insulted a man she didn't even know and even cursed his parents. What if she knew I was the boss's son? He shook his head slowly. That evening at home, Chief Bernard sat in the living room reading the newspaper when Larry walked in, still wearing his security uniform. He looked tired, but there was a smile on his face. Welcome, my son, Chief Bernard said, lowering the paper. How was work today? Larry sank into the couch and chuckled. Work was full of drama, Dad. Chief Bernard looked at him and said gently, Larry, are you not done with this game yet? Larry chuckled. No, Father. I haven't even started yet. Chief Bernard blinked. You haven't started. I'm enjoying the drama, Larry replied, laughing. It's like a free cinema show. I don't even need popcorn. His father laughed too, then leaned back. So, how was the show today? Larry shook his head. Jessica is something else, Dad. That girl is very rude. She talks like she owns the world. Do you know she insulted you and late Mom today? Chief Bernard's smile disappeared. Yes, I know. Larry's eyes widened. You knew already? Chief Bernard nodded slowly. She came into my office and lied to my face. She said, "You insulted the parents of her future husband." Can you imagine? Larry scoffed. That girl is shameless. She called me a poor boy, said I'm useless and that she will tell her husband-to-be to sack me once they marry. Chief Bernard shook his head slowly. And yet she doesn't know the poor boy she's shouting at is the same man she's dreaming to marry. Larry laughed again. Father, that's not even the worst part. She said my father is foolish and that Mom was a fool for giving birth to someone like me. Chief Bernard frowned. She said that out loud. Yes, Larry nodded. She was so angry that the insult just flew out of her mouth. Chief Bernard sighed deeply. That girl has no home training, and I almost chose her for my son. Larry shook his head. I'm glad you allowed me to do this. Honestly, this disguise is teaching me a lot. Now I see who people really are. She lied to me. That girl looked me in the eye and lied. She's very malicious, Dad, Larry said seriously. She looks down on people, especially those she thinks are poor. Chief Bernard rubbed his forehead and sighed deeply. I'm disappointed. When I spoke to her that day, she seemed calm and respectful. But now I see that pride and wickedness are hiding inside her. She doesn't deserve to be around people who respect themselves, Larry said. And she doesn't even know I'm the man she's been bragging about. Chief Bernard shook his head. She said she would tell her husband-to-be to sack you. Larry chuckled. Yes, she has already packed herself into marriage with me, and now she's throwing threats up and down. Father and son burst into laughter. Chief Bernard looked at him with a proud smile. You're wise, Larry. This test is working. At least now we know her true character. Larry nodded. But I must continue the game. I need to see how far she will go. I also want to watch Sandra closely. That girl has a good heart. I've seen it too, Chief Bernard said. She never shouts, never shows off, and she treats people with kindness. There's something about her, Larry added. She respects me even though she thinks I'm just a security guard. She once gave me cold water on a sunny day and told me I was doing a good job. Chief Bernard smiled. That's the kind of woman who brings peace into a home. Exactly, Larry said. They both sat in silence for a moment, then Chief Bernard stood up. All right, my son. The stage is yours. Continue your drama. But when the time comes, reveal yourself like a king. Larry smiled. I will, Dad. The following day at work, the atmosphere in Bernard Group of Companies was unusually tense. By 8 a.m., everyone had arrived and settled at their desks, but whispers were flying around. A message had gone out early that morning from the HR office. All staff should report to the conference room by 9 a.m. sharp. Chief Bernard has an important announcement to make. People looked at each other and asked questions. Is someone getting sacked? Is he promoting someone? Is he finally introducing his son? Nobody knew the answer. Even Jessica, who had now calmed down a little after yesterday's drama, sat at her desk. She whispered to one of her friends, Maybe this is the day I'll be officially introduced as the wife-to-be. Her friend giggled. Let's wait and see. Sandra, on the other hand, sat quietly at her desk typing up her weekly report. She wasn't moved. By 9 a.m. sharp, the entire staff gathered in the large air-conditioned conference room. The long glass table was surrounded by chairs. Everyone sat quietly, eyes focused on the front where a small stage stood. A few moments later, the door opened. Chief Bernard walked in, dressed in his signature white agbada and red cap. His walking stick tapped gently on the tiled floor as he made his way to the front. Everyone stood up and greeted. "Good morning, sir." He waved gently. "Good morning, my children. Please sit down." The room went silent as he began to speak. "I want to thank all of you for your hard work, loyalty, and dedication to this company," Chief Bernard began. "For over 30 years, I have built this business with sweat, pain, and prayers. Today, we are one of the biggest companies in Nigeria." There was a soft round of applause. "But," he continued, "the time has come for me to step aside." Gasps filled the room. Some staff whispered, "Step aside?" "Yes," Chief Bernard said with a gentle smile. "I have officially retired. Starting from today, I will no longer be coming to the office. I will be spending more time at home, resting, and enjoying the life I worked hard for." The room went quiet again. "But, sir, who will be in charge now?" One of the department heads asked carefully. Chief Bernard nodded. "Good question. My son, as many of you know, is studying medicine abroad. He will soon graduate and return home, but until then, someone else will be acting as the company representative on my behalf." People looked around, confused. Jessica's heart jumped. "Maybe it's me. Maybe he's about to call my name." Chief Bernard looked around the room and smiled. "Don't worry," he said. "The person taking over for now has already been chosen. You'll all know in due time. The person may be closer than you think." He paused. Jessica raised her hand confidently. "Sir, if I may ask, when will your son finally arrive?" Chief Bernard smiled faintly. "Very soon?" Jessica nodded proudly, turning to her friends with a face that said, "You see, it's almost time." But deep down, Sandra sat quietly, still listening, still calm. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She wasn't even thinking about Chief Bernard's son. All she knew was she had work to do. Chief Bernard raised his hand. "This meeting is now over. Go back to your duties. But I want you all to continue working hard and treating one another with respect. This company runs on discipline and humility, not pride and power." As people stood to leave, Jessica whispered to her friend, "Watch and see. I'll be Madame soon. All these people will bow to me." But Larry, who stood quietly by the door as part of the security team, heard every single word. He remained expressionless, holding the door open for everyone to walk out. When Sandra passed, she smiled politely. "Thank you." "You're welcome, Ma," Larry said gently. But when Jessica walked past, she flipped her hair and said nothing. She acted like he was invisible. Larry turned slightly and smiled to himself. The drama is just beginning. The next day at work, everyone was going about their normal duties when a black SUV drove into the company compound and parked in the VIP section. Two security men rushed to open the door. A tall, handsome man stepped out. He was dressed in a clean, well-ironed shirt, dark trousers, and shiny shoes. His face was smooth, and his voice was calm. He walked with confidence and class. The staff at the front desk looked at him surprised. "Good morning," he said with a warm smile. "I'm here to see the staff. I was asked to report to the conference room." Soon a message went out again. All staff, please report to the conference room. The new representative has arrived." Everyone rushed in with excitement and curiosity. The handsome man entered the room slowly and stood at the front. The room was quiet as everyone waited for him to speak. "Good morning, everyone," he began. "My name is Mr. Raymond. I've been asked to represent Chief Bernard while he's away. I'll be working closely with each department, making sure everything continues to run smoothly until the chief's son returns." The staff clapped softly. "I believe in teamwork, respect, and peace," Mr. Raymond added. "So let's work together and make this company even greater." After the short introduction, he smiled again and left the conference room. As soon as he walked out, Jessica turned to her best friend and whispered excitedly, "Ah, look at this man. So handsome and fresh like morning bread." Her friend giggled. "Jessica, I thought you were waiting for Chief Bernard's son. Have you changed your mind already?" Jessica flipped her hair and rolled her eyes. "Who said I can't have two? If the son takes time, I will manage Mr. Raymond for now." They both laughed. But Sandra, who overheard them, shook her head quietly and left the room. She whispered to herself, "Some people can never change." Meanwhile, Larry had also been watching from the back of the room. He smiled as he noticed how Jessica's eyes were shining like torchlight the moment Mr. Raymond stepped in. "So now she wants to follow Mr. Raymond, too," Larry muttered to himself. "This girl is just moving with the wind." As everyone returned to their duties, Jessica already had a plan in her head. "I must find a way to talk to this Mr. Raymond. If I can't find the real son yet, this one is just as fine and probably richer." Later that evening, after work, the company compound was quiet. Most of the staff had gone home. Larry stood by the gate, pretending to check the security register, but his heart was beating fast. For days now, he had been watching Sandra quietly. Her kindness, her smile, her calm spirit. It had touched something deep in his heart. "I must tell her today," he thought. "I can't hold it anymore." Just then, he saw her walking out of the building, ready to go home. He gathered courage quickly and called out softly, "Sandra?" She turned and smiled. "Yes." Larry walked closer, trying not to show his nervousness. "Can I talk to you just for a few minutes?" Sandra stopped and nodded. "Okay." They walked to a quiet corner. Larry looked into her eyes and finally spoke. "I don't know how to say this," he began, "but I have to. Sandra, I really like you. In fact, I love you. I know I'm just a security man. I may not have much, but my heart is real. Please, will you be my girlfriend?" Sandra stared at him quietly, her eyes wide. Larry's heart was beating louder than drums, but then something amazing happened. Sandra smiled. "I like you too, Larry," she said softly. Larry was shocked. "You do?" "Yes," she nodded. "I liked you from the first day I saw you, but I was waiting for you to say it first. I didn't want to look too forward." Larry laughed, and here I was thinking I was just wasting time. But Sandra added, "There's one problem." Larry sighed. "Yes, I know what you want to say. What about Chief Bernard's son? If he finds out we're dating, he may not like it and he will get us fired." Sandra looked into his eyes and said boldly, "I don't care." Larry blinked. "You don't?" "No," she said. "If we lose our jobs because of love, we can find another job somewhere else. But finding true love is not easy. I don't want to throw this away." Larry's heart melted. Sandra continued, "You don't act like other men. You're calm, respectful, humble. You make me feel safe. That's what I want." Larry stepped closer and held her hands gently. "Thank you for accepting me, Sandra. You don't know how happy I am right now." Sandra smiled. "But, one thing?" "What is it?" "Let's keep this relationship private, at least for now," she said. "The office is full of gossipers, especially that Jessica girl. If she finds out, she will scatter everything." Larry laughed. "You're right. We'll keep it between us." Sandra nodded. "Promise me you won't let anyone know yet." "I promise," Larry said, raising his hand like a scout. "It's just you and me." They both laughed and walked slowly toward the gate. Sandra turned and looked at him again. "So we're officially boyfriend and girlfriend now?" Larry grinned. "Yes, we are. And trust me, this is just the beginning." Sandra smiled. "I'm ready." As she walked away, Larry stood there smiling like a man who just won $1 million jackpot. She said yes. She actually said yes. 2 weeks later, things in Bernard Group of Companies had changed, but no one was talking openly. Sandra and Larry were now secretly in love. Every time Sandra passed the security post, Larry's face would light up. They exchanged secret smiles, shared quick glances, and even passed short notes when no one was watching. They were careful, very careful. Larry was the happiest man alive. But while true love was growing quietly, something else, something dark, was also happening. Jessica, the same woman who was waiting for Chief Bernard's son, had now found herself deeply involved with Mr. Raymond, the new temporary company representative. It started with casual compliments. "Mr. Raymond, I love your shoes," Jessica would say with her best fake smile. "Thank you, Miss Jessica," he would reply politely. Then she began bringing him coffee in the morning, just to help you start your day. Before long, she was going to his office every afternoon to check if he needed anything. And one day, Raymond didn't stop her. That night, Jessica told her best friend with pride, "Raymond and I have a secret thing now." Her friend's mouth dropped open. "What?" "But what about Chief Bernard's son?" Jessica rolled her eyes. "Please, I haven't seen that one. I don't even know what he looks like. This Raymond that is in my hand is fine, smart, and rich. If I catch the chief's son later, I'll just manage the two of them together." "Jessica, that's bad," her friend whispered. "Who cares?" Jessica replied. "All I know is I must marry into wealth. I'm too fine to suffer in this life." What Jessica didn't know was that Mr. Raymond wasn't a fool. He was watching her closely, too. He didn't trust her, but he was playing along because he was working directly for Chief Bernard and Larry. Jessica began to grow suspicious. Every time she saw Sandra walking past the gate, she noticed how Sandra always smiled at Larry. One afternoon, Jessica stood by the window and watched closely. "Why is she always smiling at that security boy?" she thought. "Is something going on between them?" That evening, she told her cleaner friend, "I want you to follow that security boy. I'm not feeling easy. There's something about him, and I must find out what it is." "But, madam," the cleaner replied nervously. "What if he catches me?" Jessica hissed. "Don't be a coward. Do you want money or not?" "Yes, madam." "Then follow him and tell me everything he does." The cleaner nodded quickly. "Yes, madam. I will do it." She waited patiently for the right time. Then one evening after work, when most people had gone home, she followed Larry quietly without being seen. She hid behind a small wall near the back gate. That was when she saw it. Larry and Sandra were standing close, talking softly, and then they kissed. The cleaner gasped. She quickly covered her mouth, ran back to the building, and left without being noticed. The next morning, Jessica was already waiting for her. "So," Jessica asked the moment the cleaner arrived, "did you see anything?" The cleaner looked around, then whispered, "Madam, I saw something big." Jessica leaned in. "Talk." "I saw that security guy kissing Sandra behind the building yesterday." Jessica jumped up from her seat. "What? You saw them?" "Yes," the cleaner said, "with my 2 eyes. They are dating secretly." Jessica's face turned red with anger. "I knew it. That useless girl has been pretending like she's innocent, and that boy, oh, he thinks he's smart." The cleaner nodded. "Madam, you have to report her to Chief Bernard. Sandra must be fired, and that security guy, too. I don't like both of them." Jessica stood up, pacing the room. "Yes, I will report them. In fact, I'll go straight to the chief's house today. I will tell him everything." She turned to the cleaner. "Don't tell anyone else what you saw." "I won't, madam. My mouth is sealed." Jessica smiled wickedly. "Good. Very soon those 2 will be jobless." Later that day at the office, Sandra was in the HR department arranging some files when Jessica stormed in like a lioness. She slammed the door and pointed at Sandra. "I finally caught you!" she shouted. Sandra looked up calmly. "What is it this time, Jessica?" Jessica laughed and crossed her arms. "I have your secret. I know you're dating that poor security boy. Don't try to deny it. I saw you 2 kissing behind the building." Sandra raised one eyebrow. "And so?" Jessica's eyes widened. "And so I will tell Chief Bernard everything. You will be fired, and that useless boyfriend of yours will be kicked out of the gate like a stray dog." Sandra gently dropped her pen and stood up. "Jessica, I'm not afraid of you. In fact, if you open your mouth to talk to Chief Bernard, I'll also open mine." Jessica stepped back a bit. "What do you mean?" "I know about your secret affair with Mr. Raymond," Sandra said boldly. "I've seen the way you sneak into his office and close the door. I've heard the way you leave his house at night when you think no one is watching." Jessica's mouth dropped open. Sandra continued, "So, go ahead. Report me, and I will also report you. Let's see who Chief Bernard will sack first."